All right, guys. So the lesson that we're going to go through today is something that perplexed me the first time I saw it around. I was kind of interested the second time I saw it around. And the third time I saw it, it actually made me really interested in it because of the applications that you have. So growth and decay, this is kind of what I was talking about in the last lesson where you're talking about population, radioactivity, it could be bacteria, it could be viruses, that kind of stuff. You were modeled through this. The other big one is personal finance, growth and decay. You could be talking about maybe you put in an investment, maybe you made a Roth IRA and you're trying to figure out how much you're going to make after a certain amount of time. This is the kind of stuff you actually need in your everyday life in order to figure out some important things. So I really liked this lesson when I finally understood it because it's one of those things that I could use outside of math class in the real world directly. So grab your notebook and I want you to label it lesson 7-6 growth and decay, and I want you to actually pause the video and take the time to write this equation down. This is going to be really helpful and really important. Instead of saying the y represents the final amount, I'm going to retype out the next part of this. So the general equation, I want you to write that down, but then I want you to just say y equals final amount. Then A equals initial, that's the starting amount. Then your R is the rate of change, and that's expressed as a decimal. It has to be a decimal, so like 0.2. If your interest rate, right? If your interest rate is 2%, it would be 0.02. Then T always represents times. That could be months, years, days, whatever it may be. So I want you to write that down in your notes. Pause me here. Hopefully get a good face. I could do some shocked faces, some encouraging ones for you to pause me. If you want to pause me here, get that encouragement. If you're more of a serious and you want me to say, you write your notes, pause me here. Maybe you would need a little stern, approving, disapproving look. Write your notes down. Write those here. Okay, so we're gonna write down one more thing. So you have this other equation. It's a version of PERT. PERT is talking about money. So P, if I could write this, P is the initial amount. Sometimes it's called the principal. P equals principal, not like principal of the school. The principal, the initial amount is your starting amount. In finance, it's called the principal. That's why it's called P. R, of course, is your rate. So, your 2% or whatever it may be. And that needs to be a decimal. N is the number of times that you are compounding it. So, if you get interest quarterly, N would be 4. If you got it yearly, it would just be 1. Then T, of course, represents time of, that's years usually. A is going to be the balance. I guess we should add that in there. A is your balance. I like to think of it as the amount. It's just the amount of money you have. So you could use this to figure out, if I put some money in after this many years, how much you're going to get out. That's what banks use basically all the time. So we're going to try to use each of these equations. Pause me here, copy this down in your notebook. All you have to copy is this. I just summarized those words for you. Copy that down right. Whoa, copy that down right there. I love technology. It's great. Yeah. So pause me here, write that down. All right. Moving on, we're going to talk about population. And so this is not the money one. You're going to use the other value or your other equation for this one. Once I get rid of my scribbles, we're going to use that growth formula. Wanted to say format, but the growth formula. So again, I'll remind you that our growth formula, we wrote it here. It's y equals a parentheses 1 plus r to the power t. I'm actually just going to screen grab this and copy it over just so you can reference it. So that's what we're using. Don't mind the S there. Scribble that out. So we're going to use that. And we also need to identify some key information here. Going back to our notes, hopefully you have your notes in front of you to use this. I want to figure out what everything is. So A is the initial or starting amount. So it says the population of the United States has been increasing on an average rate of 0.91%. If the population was about 303,146,000 in 2008. So we got to pause there. The initial amount, so A, the amount of people started at 303,146,000 people. Then our R, or our rate, again, you could look back at your notes to remind you what this is in percent. With percent, if you had 60%, if you want to convert 60% to a decimal, 60% is like the decimal is right here, so you move it twice. So then it'd be 0.6. 91.91%, we still need to move our decimal twice. So it's 1, 2, and you're going to add the zeros. So our rate is actually, as a decimal, 0.0091. Then after some time, our T is how many years have passed. So from 2008 to 2012, it was 4 years. We're going to use these values to figure out, we're going to use our formula to figure out what the values are, to figure out how many people there are. So we're going to do this. We're going to set it up. So our y equals our a, which is, I'm going to need more room because there are a ton of numbers. So y equals 303 million. Hopefully you can write faster than me. Writing on a computer is just a little bit slow. So 303,146,000. Then you'll do your parentheses. 1 plus your rate, which is 0.0091 to the power of time. So that's 4. You're going to type all of this into your calculator. I am going to type all of this into my calculator instead of rewriting it because that is a pain. You could do 1 plus 0.0091 if you wanted to first. That's going to be 1.0091. Then do that to the power of 4 first, and then multiply it times the population if you wanted to. I'm going to do it all in my calculator, but if you're on your phone, it might be easier to do that first. So 303 million. Power of 4. And that should get me to 313,205,1.4. Can you have 0.4 of a person? No, you cannot. So we will just round, and so that's 0.51. Then you can add your commas. And so you have 314 million, 332,051. This being said it was increasing. And so from 303 million and some change to 314 million, it is increasing. So we can kind of mentally check that this is probably pretty close. If you get like an answer of 8, probably doesn't make sense. So you can kind of self-check your values here, people. If you do not have a calculator, I want you to just set it up like this. So at least plug it in and set it up. If you don't have a calculator, you can't figure out your phone, what have you, I will give you credit if you just do this. I would like you to try if you have a calculator to do it, but if you don't, I will not mark you down for that. The other one we will be doing is with our investments. So that's our kind of play on PERT equation. This is when we're using money, which is actually very helpful in everyday life. So we have a compounding interest. Compounded interest means basically, they take your interest based on the amount you have. The amount you have is growing, so you're getting more money each time. Say I put in $2,000 and then I got interest and now I have $2,004. Then I have interest on the $2,004, so I get more money. So maybe I get $6. So now I have $2,010. So that's kind of what that means. So P is our principal amount, our starting amount. So our investment here is $2,500. That's our principal amount. So $2,500. R is our rate. So it was 5.25%. When we have percent, we have to move our decimal point 2 times. So we're going to go 1, 2. And that's going to be our rate. 0.0525. N is the number of times, and it's compounded monthly. If you think about that, there are 12 months in a year, so it's going to be, N is going to be 12, and time is after 4 years. Now we have all we need to plug into our equation. When you do this, I just want you to say what P equals, R equals, N equals, and T equals every single time. It will help you tremendously to keep organized. So our amount equals, here's the nice part of it. So we have our 2,500. This is terrible writing. Hopefully you write better than me. I say that all the time, but I hope it's true. 1 plus our rate, which was 0.0525, divided by N. Our N was 12 times, or to the power N, which is 12 times 4. Again, if you don't have a calculator and you cannot type this in, that's okay. Leave it like this, and I will give you some points for it. Just write me a note saying you don't have a calculator. If you do have a calculator or you're using your phone, you might want to work from the inside out and work your way that way. So I would do the division first. I would do 0.0525 divided by 12. Press enter, and then it's plus 1. It's plus 1, and then press enter. Then you're going to say to the power of 12 times 4. Well, 12 times 4, 24, 48. So you'll do caret 48. Then you're going to multiply it times your principal amount, your 2,500. And then you're going to get the amount of $3,082. And I have 0.78279. So I'm going to round to 0.78 because, when you're talking about money, that's what you're talking about. So at the end of, after 4 years, you have, again, with word problems, you answer in words. It's probably painstaking to watch me do this. You have $3,082. $82.78. That's a pretty good deal because you've made about, over $500, $580, over 580. It's a pretty good investment. Free money. We like free money. And that's your answer. And that's how you do those problems. Thank you for sticking with it. I'm going to wrap this up quickly before I keep talking. I will see you guys later. Bye.